Warning, 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 warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.
Hi, you're listening to Fantasy Football Tips in association with Premier Punt, the home of daily fantasy football betting. It's game week 16. My name is Mills and I'm joined in the studio by Quigliano and JP the voice. I gave you that billing back there, didn't I, Quigliano?
Why is that? Can you justify that?
Well, I could just hear you chewing in my ear, so I didn't want to upset you again this week.
Well, could the listeners hear me chewing?
I don't know, ask them.
No, you ask them.
Anyway, we're back. JP, how are you? I think you were a bit of a cold hit last week on the podcast.
I appreciate that. I'm great. I'm top draw.
And just to let you know, FPL Junior is enjoying his premium membership immensely. His free membership that he won, courtesy of the photo. Well, sorry, not the photo. It looked like a photo, didn't it? It was that accurate.
It was that accurate, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a mirror.
He's waiting on that dance, though, that you promised him.
Yes, now, obviously, I would like to call out to him. I'd like him to recommend a song that he would like me to dance to, please.
Okay, so FPL Junior, if you can tweet into at FPL_the source,
yeah,
and let us know which song indeed you would like JP to dance to. Is there a choice, or is it literally open? You can go with anything.
I tell you what, give me 2 songs and I will pick one of the 2, and it can be from any genre, any date and time. His choice.
We should have conferred this off air, because this is absolute nonsense.
Right.
Sure.
FPL Junior, you just send us a song and JP will put that together for you. Anyway, that's not what people have tuned in for, is it? People have tuned in to hear our FPL tips, and we will get there at some point.
I've been researching all week different songs for JP to dance to, so should I have been looking at tips?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so
something that would
Quigliano, I want to go straight into our podcast team, which again was not fantastic last week. We hit the 50-point mark, which, you know, we had no Mahrez. If we had Mahrez, I think we'd have had a very good week. But without Mahrez, and I mean, I can't talk about my own personal traumas last week. I can't even go there. It's still that raw. But I'm almost waiting for Quigliano to jump in on something there.
What sort of traumas would you be talking about?
I took Mahrez out. I took a -4 hit to take Mahrez out to put Hazard in.
I thought it was going to be late night media releases at a stag do.
No, I mean...
Was that a different type of trauma?
That was traumatic as well, but that probably doesn't really need to be talked about
traumatic for
too
the people
much.
that saw them. But yeah, needless to say, Mills was unleashed at the weekend. But yeah, moving on. That is suicide watch when you take out a 21-point return for
A -4. Well, it was a -2 in the end.
Yeah, so for nothing off Hazard, he was the long shot last week. So we didn't put all our eggs in that basket. What the hell is going on at Chelsea?
It's shocking, isn't it? I mean, you talk of stag do's. We were drinking fairly heavily whilst watching that game as a big group, but it was shocking, wasn't it? You know, it just bewilders belief.
Bewilders belief?
Is that
beggars belief?
Well, it bewildered me.
Yeah, I would say beggars belief is the preferable choice.
The what?
Preferable choice of the 2.
I mean, it sounds like we're still on the stag do, to be perfectly honest, the way this podcast is going so far.
Not bewilders, but wildebeests. I saw you with. We'll say no more about that. We'll move straight on. What I am going to say is, I think a few players out there are suffering, and it's probably the better managers.
You're suffering at the moment, aren't you?
I'm glad you've made that link.
Yeah.
Basically, the better managers are sticking to the quality players, the tried and tested players. And then there's obviously the seat of your pants players. We saw the top scorer for FPL, triple captain Mahrez. I mean, that's lunacy. Obviously, it's worked out, and it's easy to say that was a bad decision. Well, I shouldn't be saying it was a bad decision, because it was a very good one. But on paper, that is a bad decision. And on paper, these types of players, your Hazards, your Ozils, your KDBs, your Agueros, when it all comes into play, all these wannabes with a wretched team are going to be going, oh, I had a really bad week, Mahrez got me nothing. Oh, you had Hazard and you captained him, you've made loads of points. That's me quoting JP. You've got your hand up.
Can't begin to disagree more with Quigliano on this one.
Okay.
Can't begin to disagree more.
Well, please do begin, because it's pretty boring if you don't.
FPL is about form, current form of players. At the moment, Eden Hazard, along with several Chelsea players, are out.
The Garden of Eden.
So I was just talking there, but it's
It's alright, if you made a mistake, it's Eden.
listen. If if interrupting is fine, then we can set the bar there. Now, at the moment, they are out of form. You cannot rely on someone who costs so much money. 10.9 does that say there?
Yeah.
10.9 million to get you points when he is out of form. That money must be invested somewhere else. Must.
Okay.
Nonsense. I agree with the form shout. You do pick those, and if you get in at the right time, you can reap the rewards. I agree with that. However, you've got Chelsea playing Bournemouth at home.
I actually think that was a game that I would have called as a draw. I would not have called that as a Chelsea win. See, I'm being laughed at by Quigliano.
Well,
but
it was a Bournemouth win anyway, so it would have been a bad shout.
It would have been a bad shout, but it was my point is, I don't think you can trust Chelsea at the moment to get any form of result or points for you.
Okay, but you're going to stick by Leicester, who have got Chelsea, Everton, and Liverpool as their next 3 fixtures.
I'm going to stick by Mahrez and Vardy for the next 3 games, because I'm telling you now, those 3 players, you can grin and smirk and giggle as much as you like.
Well, there's other players in the Leicester's team.
There are, but if we're being honest in terms of points, you're clearly going to go for Mahrez and Vardy. I'm assuming that the percentages show that. You've got to have those in your team.
Okay, sorry, the reason I was grinning and smiling there was just because you were getting very excited and your face started to swell.
No, that is understandable. That does happen.
Starting to swell.
That does happen, yeah. Well, we did speak about that last week.
We did indeed. So, looking at our team, I've got a couple of issues, a couple of concerns with our team this week. Our goalkeepers now read McCarthy and Begovic, both who were playing at times this season. Obviously now both are not playing. I think it's got to be addressed, hasn't it? It kind of forces our hand. Concerns in defence. Prodel and Target again not playing at the moment, and we have Galloway. When we're playing 3 at the back, Galloway looks like he's going to make way for Leighton Baines, who is on the comeback, in terms of fitness. And we still, we've got Mane in there in midfield, which might be something we want to look at. And obviously, we just talked briefly about Leicester coming up with some tough fixtures coming up, and we've got Vardy in there. Where do we go first, Quigliano?
Well, I think it's all about calm the ship, calm yourself down, steady that hand, because at times like this is where bad decisions are made, where people start chasing, start going, this player hasn't got the result that I needed. And it's like, well, I can afford to take a -8 this week or a -4, and that's happening repetitively, and that's not reaping any reward for your team. Calm down. Focus on the long-term game. Yes, Mane, for example, might not be in sparkling form, but he's got one more good fixture, so we can wait there.
Mm-hmm.
The no goalkeeper issue probably does need addressing, because that's a guaranteed donut on our team sheet, a big 0. But then the rest, we can weather the storm. Like I would almost be tempted to hold tight and wait for 2 free transfers so we can change it up without taking minus point hits. Just remember the basics here, people. Minus points are not an option.
But surely for this week we've got to address the keeper situation.
We'll probably
we can't have a
looking
0
to replace Begovic, and we've had a little bit of debate that Quigliano's calling out Courtois. I do like Butland at Stoke. Definitely like Butland as an option, but I like Chelsea's fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with Chelsea's fixtures, but JP's bursting here.
I can't contain this. I like my
it's
bold.
all over the table.
It is. It's gone everywhere. You know me. I like my big, bold statements. I'm going to use one word to describe that decision: criminal. It's criminal. Do not put Courtois on your team, and I'm going to say why. 2 better choices. Exactly like Mr. Quigliano has just said perfectly. Butland, 3 clean sheets in a row, including 1 penalty save. And look at Arsenal's next fixture. Check. Aston Villa. 2 better choices there. Discuss.
But then Arsenal go straight to then Man City come to Arsenal the following week, which it would be tough.
But you know what? Man City don't look particularly like firing that much at the moment, in my opinion. I'm going to say Butland or Czech.
Check what?
Petr Cech.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, right, okay, back to that
But
one.
I do like what he was
okay.
doing
I
there.
thought you were playing a bit of chess there, mate. Well, it's checkmate, because we're definitely not putting in Czech at Arsenal. We will probably be looking... I'm looking at those fixtures for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean...
And in the minute I won't be swayed away, but I am
I think
horrendous few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, what we are going to say is with Champions League and everything else going on this week, we're going to wait, aren't we, until towards the end of the week. We're not going to make that transfer today. Courtois, his price isn't going to go up by that much this week. We will wait until Friday.
That's where, again, like the basics, hold tight. Sometimes, and I've been guilty of that these last few weeks, is making decisions early in the week on the back of the weekend. Not the best time. You sometimes can afford to lose that bit of price. Provided you're not going to lose out on the player you definitely want, you can afford to lose the odd 0.1 million, 0.2 million in order to make a calculated, correct decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just look at the positives here, because it's not all bad. We've got Ozil in goal. We've got
Ozil in goal.
We've got Ozil in midfield, who could get us goals and assists, big time assists. We've still got Hazard in there, like you say. The Chelsea fixtures looking like they're coming good. We've got Lukaku. We've got Troy Deeney, who has been bringing some massive points into us since we've put him in.
Yeah, good one.
Kevin De Bruyne, again, I think he's due a goal this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, Man City up against Swansea, as long as he comes through Champions League unscathed. You know, so it's looking decent. We've still got Vardy in there as well. So, yeah, we'll see how we go.
I think this is, I'm saying this, but it's a bit of therapy. It's a bit of positive self-talk, because I've had 3 absolute Reggie blinkers. It's been horrendous.
You have had a tough time.
In the Barocca Juniors camp. And, you know, a few people have said, just pass Quigliano in the league, trying to kick a man while he's down. Your card has been marked, and when I go past you, I will beg. No, I won't beg. That's how bad it's got. I will make you beg for forgiveness.
Okay. I mean, still to talk about in the show today, we're going to be talking about Aguero later on, and obviously we've got Quigliano's standard game week tips coming up right after this.
You're listening to Mills, Quigliano and The Voice on the Fantasy Football Tips podcast.
Okay, so Quigliano, back to that time of the show where this is what people really tune in for, I think, is your tips for the week.
The Gary Busey of the week.
Let's hear the Gary.
Guarantee point scorer. We go in Lukaku, who could have had a hatful on Monday. So he's our guaranteed performer. That's where we feel the points are going to be pouring in.
Up against Norwich.
Up against Norwich, yeah. Got a lot of attacking options there. We're going to talk about a few side tips later on, but Lukaku is the form player, and he's somebody I think that does need to be put in that team just to stop yourself bleeding to death, because he's gaining points regularly.
Yeah, I mean, there's only Jamie Vardy that has scored more goals in the Premier League than him. So that speaks volumes, doesn't it, really, this season? I agree with that. I think that's a very good shout.
Definitely.
Yeah, no arguments here.
It definitely doesn't bewilder belief.
It does not bewilder my beliefs,
yeah.
no.
So the long shot, moving on to the Xabi Alonso, the long shot, and this is very long and it's a bit hopeful.
I've just seen what you've got written down there. This is ludicrous.
Okay, Ben Dinnery, I'm going to be bugging you worse than a petulant child, because Aguero is the long shot of the week.
He's not going to play.
He's not going to play. You've heard doubting Mills over here.
Well, I said it last week. I said last week he loves a winter injury. I told you he wouldn't play, and he didn't.
I thought you meant he loves the winter pims, so I got the wrong end of the stick.
No, what I was very clearly saying was he was not going to play last week, and he didn't. And he won't play in the Champions League this week either.
Well, that's looking blatantly obvious there, Mills. You're hardly a genius.
Well, Pellegrini's already come out and said he's not going to rush Aguero back, which indicates to me that he's not going to play this weekend again. Bonnie is fit. He's not looking great, but he's fit. They don't need to rush him back. I think, as well...
They've just lost to Stoke, I will just reaffirm
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. But home against Swansea this week... Look at it like this. If he does play, if he's fit, it's a brilliant long shot.
Exactly. I mean, we could have looked at somebody like Hazard, who I can see JP scrambling around saying he should be. But he was last week's. Okay, I'm not in the business of repeating myself. So I'm not in the business of repeating myself.
Actually, I wasn't going to say that. Actually, I was going to support you slightly, because you have used that as the long shot. Quigliano is suggesting that it's a long shot. It's not a guaranteed point scorer. I actually respect him on. I respect him on this one.
Okay.
That's all I want to say.
Okay, absolutely.
You respect Quigliano?
I always have and always will.
I mean, someone asked us last week if we could put this out on video. I mean, if only we could.
Yeah.
Just to see JP's animated sort of delivery. It's frightening at times.
Well, what's frightening is the love that he's getting from you, actually. Okay, I'm the star of this show, and all I can hear about you is talking about how good JP's face is. So
Listen,
I'm going to leave this room, and when I come back in, you two better be fully clothed.
hey, Quigliano, you're a pleasure to work with as well.
Okay, moving on. Where we going, Delia? I mean, great Delia last week, by the way. Lots of love on Twitter for the Delia last week, and on the YouTube comments as well.
So the Man City physio, and you let me down, so your card is marked as well. I'll be coming for you. We go in Delia, and this is really a shout out for the rest of the season, and it's a chance to say goodbye. Begovic, Courtois is back. Well, where are you? We're not going to be seeing you anymore, and anyone that did have, I imagine he's going to be bombing him. Don't go down that route quickly, we'll get complaints. He's just going to be getting cut from the team, alright? That's all I'm going to say there.
Okay, let's go to the fans' favourite. It's side tips.
It is the hashtag side tips, and here we go. Hold tight, strap in. We go in, the man who is back, an FPL favourite in Leighton Baines. Came on, saw a nice little Twitter, saw someone saying how Martin has respected the FPL players, leaving Galloway until the 62nd minute before bringing
Absolutely, I
Baines
was
on.
all
And I
over
think
that,
a lot of people like that. He has got history though. He did bring off Barkley. No, he brought off somebody last year on 59 minutes and it cost him a clean sheet. A rival in the league. So
he's learnt from that mistake.
I think maybe the death threats that he received on that 59th minute substitution. Thought I better wait till 62. So we're having an impact. We're going there next to Stoke on Nantovic. I'm saying that right?
No, it's Arnautovic.
Excellent correction. Sure, that might be wrong as well. But
Probably.
looked good at Stoke and was kind of the focal point. For those chances, he was the furthest man up the pitch, running in between defenders. So I like that as a side tip. Get him in. He's a midfielder. KDB. Okay, we like the fixtures that Man City have got for this week. And I believe that they're going to have to bounce back from that result against Stoke. So little tip there on KDB. Ericsson and Ali, we've given you the cheap and the pedigree. Okay, so we've got the pedigree of Ericsson, the cheap option of Ali. I know JP's been hounding me to get him in.
I'm happy with that.
Just before we move on to those side tips then, can we just have a quick mention of that fixture? So Spurs taking on Newcastle.
Yeah.
Spurs had looked like a force and they've kind of stuttered through the last couple of games, haven't they? West Brom was tough, obviously the Chelsea game was always going to be tough anyway. But Newcastle were the complete, opposite of that. They were looking horrific. Got a result against Liverpool last week. What does that fixture hold this week? Spurs at home, Newcastle go in there. I actually think Spurs are going to, really turn up this week. But what are your thoughts? Obviously Europa League as well, so concerns with that?
Well, I mean, we can see Newcastle, struggling in the league. Okay, they've got one good result against Liverpool. However, in reality, an offside decision, which was shocking on Moreno, probably shouldn't have been a win for Newcastle.
Robbed Quigliano.
Shocking.
Me, yeah.
Oh, it was a yard onside. I hope the linesman will be punished severely for that. They're inconsistent, Newcastle. I think going to White Hart Lane.
But carry on.
Yeah, well, I voice my opinion. I think Newcastle going to White Hart Lane will struggle. I think this is a chance for Harry Kane, or even like Quigliano as well mentioned, an Ericsson or an Ali. I think you're going to see 2 or 3-0 to Spurs minimum.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a win to nil.
A win to nil.
No, a win 2-0.
Is that something off Game
of Thrones? Yeah, it's beyond the wall.
Right.
It's a secret place.
Or Winterfell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, no Kane in there for you on a side tip.
My worry is that hangover, the European hangover that they may have. I think that's why they didn't beat Chelsea, is the few tired legs. And I just worry with Newcastle winning against Liverpool. Dangerous time. Can see a potential draw there, but I don't like to make those predictions. I'm predicting the players.
Okay, so sorry I rudely interrupted your flow of side tips there, so I know you've still got a few to go through.
Gratefully received. Delafeu and Barkley, supporting our Gary of the week, Lukaku, both dangerous. I think you've got to have one or the other if you're going to go for that. So, like those options there. We've obviously got the Arsenal fixture against Villa, who are hideous. So we've got Ozil as the main option, and whether or not, I'm hearing rumours that Walcott is back, and I need to be proved wrong on that one. So if Walcott is coming, there's another goal scoring option. And if the final side tip, he didn't finish training last week, and that's what ruled him out, is Coutinho. If he does come back, is another player that is kind of that must-have in your attacking team. It's just whether he's ready for this little side tip and this game week.
Well, first of all, in my opinion, a great set of side tips there. I really do mean that. Could I just add one more? Could I have the honour of adding one more?
No, you can't. But thanks for asking. Tune in next week.
Right when it was worth asking. Never mind.
Absolutely. Get
Is that okay? Are you sure? Well, as mentioned by Quigliano, Arnautovic, was discussed. 2 goals against Man City. Can't argue with that. But I'm also going to add in Shaqiri to that list. 2 assists. Looked absolutely fantastic in that fixture. I think...
Really split the syllables there. Well done.
Thank you very much. I think he could be a good option in your team.
Okay,
Not just for a poster in your room, in your team.
In your team.
In the team, absolutely. Okay,
specific.
Yeah, great set of side tips there. Right, boys, it's been emotional as ever this week. It's a funny old week. It's a funny old week.
Thoughts on that?
Well, I've written an article that's going up this week about Champions League hangovers. I feel like we've got a stag do hangover this week. Have the listeners picked up on that at all?
The key thing is always to keep your eye on the ball, but don't get caught ball watching. And that's what I'm going to leave you with.
Wow.
Okay, that is very deep.
Deep.
I would love to hear what some of our foreign listeners...
Oh yeah, shout out Australia again. Love you.
They came through for you, didn't they?
Again, you've not sent out the question time, have you?
I haven't. I didn't ask the question, but they should be used to it by now. They know what it's all about.
They're fast asleep, waiting.
Well,
they've been fasting. They've not eaten until the next podcast from Quigliano.
Okay, I'm sure they'll be listening to this. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We will be back in a couple of seconds with Podcast Extra for those premium members. And if you're not a premium member, it is just £9. 9 UK pound coins for 12 whole months of premium content. Now I know you're going to ask me...
try and blag a free competition entry.
There's no competition on at the moment, but if you want to send something in, feel free. We might feel generous. But I know you want to ask me what you get for that.
Can you just reiterate what you get for that for me, please?
Okay,
I read that out
in 12 months, you will get over 100 extra game week tips articles. You will also get the opportunity. You will also get the opportunity to ask us to rate your team. Rate your team three times in a whole season. That's not bad, is it?
I enjoy slagging things off.
That's
great.
I enjoy encouragement and praise.
So there you go. So
well done.
And obviously you also get the Podcast Extra, which is coming up right after this. So if you want to listen to the Podcast Extra, just head to fantasyfootballtips.co/register, sign up, and the link will be there for you to listen in. I've been Mills. I've been joined by JP and Quigliano. I'll speak to you in a couple of seconds if you're on Podcast Extra. If not, we will see you next week.
Bye-bye now.
Ciao.
Warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.